please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome to yet another episode of Overdrive, your weekly dose of everything that you need to know about the newest cars as well as motorcycles that are entering into the Indian market. Let's start the show with Toyota's rival to the Hyundai Verna, which is all set to hit the showrooms pretty soon. Now, does that car pack in a hard-hitting punch? Well, we've got the answer all the way from Bengaluru.
Crossovers and SUVs are becoming the preferred choice over sedans across various price points. But the executive sedan segment has shown signs of recovery in the recent times, and that's thanks to very well thought of cars like the Suzuki Ciaz, the Honda City, and of course the Hyundai Verna. But when you say the words well thought of, one word that comes to mind is Toyota, and they now have a new contender in this space. They're calling it the Yaris. Let's first understand what is the Yaris. The Yaris is a popular model line that is available in hatchback and sedan body styles. It is based on Toyota's B platform, which was developed for all B segment vehicles. The Yaris is now in its third generation, and unlike the cute and sober Yaris sold to the United States, we get the Asia spec model that has a sportier and a more radical design. Speaking of design, it is in line with the likes of the new Prius, Camry and Corolla, and therefore you see new age Toyota design traits like the streamlined swept-back headlights that merge into the large grille element for a more harmonious face and impart the car a wide-bodied appearance. The Yaris also gets a pair of LED daytime running lights which are exclusive to the top-spec trim and look rather nice. The fog lights have a tall upswept housing which adds more sophistication to the face. The side profile gets two sharp creases which lend it a sporty character. Unlike many sedans that are planned alongside a hatchback variant, the Yaris has a more balanced three-box design, and the tail doesn't look like an afterthought. The India spec model sits on a slightly higher and softer suspension setup, but a ground clearance of 152mm is one of the lowest in this class. The range-topping trim seen here gets 15-inch alloy wheels shod with skinny 185 section tires. These dimensions remain standard across the range. The sweeping taillights look smart, and the huge reflectors prevent the bulky bumper from looking drab. Can the Yaris carry plenty of cargo? Oh yes! The 476-litre boot may not be the best in class, but is designed quite wisely with no protrusions eating into the usable space. The Yaris takes a very simple yet functional approach for its cabin, and that's in typical Japanese style. You also get this nice black and beige combination. You have these satin inserts which all looks quite nice. You also get this force stitching which mimics the effect of a leather-wrapped dashboard, though it is not. What you do get, however, is leather upholstery on the seats for the top-spec trim. You also get this touchscreen infotainment system which in my opinion looks a bit aftermarket, and the software is a little laggy for my liking. But like I said, I like the overall fit and finish of the car. It's typical Toyota. It feels quite premium even for this space. I also like the cool glove compartment, and I also like the way it nicely compartmentalizes all the storage space. Apart from that, you have other little cubby holes and other storage spaces peppered around the car for all your knickknacks. All the storage spaces and controls fall easily at hand. The infotainment gets gesture controls for a hands-free operation of common audio controls, while the unit itself sits high on the dash and doesn't need you to take your eyes off the road often. The instrumentation is easy to read, and the multi-info display also lets you calculate the money saved by driving economically. The front seats in the Yaris are nicely contoured for long-distance drives and are quite supportive even for taller and wider passengers. The rear bench, however, gets mixed reactions. Mixed reactions because Toyotas are also known for their rear seat comfort. Now, as far as comfort goes, I feel that this seating is not going to have a problem at all. I like the overall contouring of the seats. I like the way the backrest is laid out. It's nice and comfortable. I also get good knee room. The visibility is excellent too. But the problem is the headroom. At my height of about 5'8", it's not a big deal, but if someone who were a 6-footer were to sit in here, they would brush their head against the roof quite often. What's even worse is, if you were to hit a speed hump at speed, then there's every chance that you will hit your head against the roof, and that's not a very nice feeling. As far as the features go, you do get these two 12-volt sockets. You also get a blind for the rear windshield. However, I think this space is a little too cramped, and looking out of that through the inside rearview mirror could become a bit of a problem. What I particularly like are these rear AC vents, so I can direct the flow towards myself, Or if I do not have any rear seat occupants, I can just push it forward and have the floor directly on my neck when I'm driving the car. However, I think I would still prefer ventilated seats over this kind of an arrangement, but this is quite innovative and a good feature to have. Other notable features of the car include cruise control, electrically adjustable height, reach and recline for the driver's seat, auto headlights, auto wipers, satellite navigation and a reversing camera. Why is Toyota calling the Yaris the safest car in the segment? Simply because there's no other car in this price bracket that currently offers 7 airbags, and the Yaris has them and ABS as a standard fit across all the 4 trims. The higher trims also get you disc brakes on all wheels, ESP, hill start assist, tire pressure monitoring and ISOFIX child seat anchorage. One of the most common questions that we've got regarding the Yaris ever since it was unveiled before the Auto Expo is, why is there no diesel? Well, sources say that this particular segment has started tilting back towards petrol. More than 80% of the sales of cars in this particular segment are petrol, and that is why the Yaris chooses a 1.5 litre petrol unit as its only drivetrain option. Now, this is not to be confused with the 1.5 litre engine that's also available in the Etios. That belongs to the ENR family. This is the RNR family. This one gets dual variable valve timing, which not only burns fuel more efficiently, but also makes sure that you get better fuel economy and better power and torque, which is of course a good thing to have. The engine isn't very rev happy like some of its competition and is more laid back in nature. It redlines at a little over 6,500 RPM, and the climb beyond 4,000 RPM is pretty slow and noisy. You will need a downshift or two to pull overtakes at highway speeds. The engine is quite refined otherwise and drives pretty nicely in the city environment. It can be specified with a 6-speed manual or a CVT automatic. The CVT gearbox, I have my reservations. In the city it's fine, it's nice and convenient, but out on the highway it goes almost all the way to the red line before it selects the next ratio, and that can get a little irritating, and that's because of the pronounced rubber band effect. The engine will just rev, make a lot of sound and then shift gears. That, in my opinion, is not a nice feeling. I personally like the manual transmission a little more. The engine also doesn't feel as restrained as it does with the CVT, but then you just can't ignore the convenience that the CVT brings along, can you? The manual is what I would choose. The shift quality is good and the clutch operation is light. The steering is conveniently light too. For highway use, I would have liked it to weigh a little more, and around twisties, I would have liked it to be more responsive. Toyota tells us that compared to the other Asian counterparts of the Yaris, the Indian version gets a slightly different suspension setup. It's got a slightly softer setup, it rides a little higher as well, and that is to take on the bad Indian road conditions. Now, outside of Bangalore where we are driving this car, the roads are simply superb, they're smooth, but we did subject this car to some tall speed humps, to some undulations and to some deep potholes, and it fared excellently over all of those. It just glided over all of those. So if you are looking for a comfortable car to glide over speed humps, well, not speed humps, but at least potholes and undulations in the executive sedan space, I think the Yaris will be one of the best cars to do it in. Despite the wake steering and the laid-back engine, the Yaris is quite fun to drive around twisties. The grip from the Goodyear tires is excellent, and the chassis behaves quite well around switchbacks. But the Yaris is not a driver's car, and it doesn't pretend to be one either, nor is it trying to woo the fleet operators. Its target audience are the young buyers and the nuclear families that are looking for safe, reliable and a value for money offering. The journey won't be easy for the Yaris given the kind of competition it has to fend off from within and outside the segment. But as I mentioned in the beginning, most Toyota cars are very well thought of, and it seems like with the Yaris, they have ticked all the right boxes.
You've joined us on our Auto Selector segment here on this show. Let's toss all of your queries to our Overdrive editor, Shumi. Hi Shumi, our first question this week comes in from Puneet Handa. He writes in saying that he wants to buy an SUV with a budget between 15 to 20 lakh rupees. His cousin has suggested that the Tata Hexa is a good choice, but he feels that its resale value is not very good. So he has shortlisted the Hyundai Creta or the Isuzu MU-X. what would you suggest to me?
Puneet, I would tell you to go for the Hyundai Creta. Over the long run, it's going to be the better car. And I'm only saying the long run because you yourself have brought up the Hexa's resale value, which may or may not be true, but it gives us perspective about the fact that you're looking at a longer period of ownership. Over a longer period of ownership, an established brand like Hyundai does usually better than a brand like Isuzu. Nothing wrong with the MUX. It's a really nice SUV to drive. I think the D-Max V-Cross, the pickup truck, is an even more useful vehicle to buy if that's your thing. But the Hyundai Creta is what I would get.
And our final question, Shumi, this week comes in from Ravi. He writes in from Bangalore saying that he's looking to buy a 125cc commuter motorcycle. He has shortlisted the Hero Glamour as well as the Shine. His daily commute is 35 kilometers. His personal favorite, of course, is the Glamour, but he has two concerns. He wants to know whether the Hero has got the FI engine right. If so, on the scale of 1 to 10, how much would you rate that particular engine? And would you instead recommend the carburetor engine? He also wants to know, how would you rate Hero in terms of build quality?
Ravi, the Glamour FI in fact was created when Hero and Honda were partners. So in that sense, the fuel injection system is part of what Honda gave to Hero at that point of time. So that's not the reason to be thinking about carburetor or fuel injection. But between the Glamour and the Shine, anyway, the decision is very hard to make. In fact, the markets had a hard time making a decision because there was a time when the Shine was leading, then the Glamour was leading, and now I think the Shine is leading again. So it's a very, very closely matched battle, and I think it's just about what you feel is right. From your question, it sounds like you're leaning towards the Honda. I would say go for it. Both of them are excellent motorcycles. There's nothing wrong with either of them. You'll be happy, I'm sure of it.
Well, just like the others, just shout out to us at helpdesk@overdrive.co.in. That is our email address. You can also send us your queries via Facebook, Twitter, or even on our YouTube channel, and we will get Shumi to answer them for you on this show. Now, it's been a busy week for some SUV manufacturers, and here are the latest launches from this week.
Right now we are here at the launch of the updated 2018 Mahindra XUV 500. Prices, it starts from 12.32 lakhs and goes all the way up to 17.88 lakh. Now because it's a facelift, obviously the first change that takes place is the grille. The updated grille looks nice and much larger, more premium thanks to the piano finish and the small chrome inserts. It also looks bigger and wider than the previous offering. The important change, I think the only change that we can see here are the new 18-inch diamond cut alloy wheels. Now the 2.2 litre motor has been retained from the previous model, but you should know that this one has been updated. In terms of power, this makes 155 PS and it generates 360 Newton meters of torque. And the rear is what gets a lot of changes because it is here that you see the new triangular styled tail lights. It's a very nice split LED and it looks a lot busier. The other detailing that you will see here is the chrome applique. That is the top end W11 variant. The first thing that you will notice inside the cabin of the 2018 Mahindra XUV 500 is the fact that it gets nice quilted leather tan seats. They look nice and premium and have a lot of cushioning compared to the previous model. Gone is that plastic finish of buttons. Instead you get nice piano finished smooth buttons, and that is what I like. Now lastly, in addition to the smartphone app, Mahindra have also introduced a smart watch app, which is a lot nice because you can control a lot of functions using the smart watch app.
BMW India has finally launched the X3 at a base price of 49.99 lakh rupees ex-showroom Delhi for the Expedition trim and 56.70 lakh rupees for the luxury line trim. This third generation SUV is now 55 kgs lighter than its predecessor owing to the use of lighter aluminium and certain components that have been used to build the engine and suspension. The SUV is available with two diesel engine options, a 2-litre diesel engine in the new X-Drive 20D Avatar, which churns out 190 PS of power and 400 Nm of torque, while the more powerful 3-litre 6-cylinder diesel engine offers 265 PS of power and 620 Nm of torque. The additional power and torque figures help to propel the car from 0 to 100 km per hour in 8.0 and 5.8 seconds and record a top speed of 213 and 240 km per hour respectively. The slightly longer wheelbase in the new model liberates more space inside the cabin, and the iDrive 6.0 infotainment system, along with a panoramic sunroof and climate control, add to the luxurious feel inside the car. BMW India had opened bookings for the X3 earlier this month, and the company says deliveries will start soon. Now, since its launch in the Indian market, the Tata Nexon has been competing with the likes of the Maruti Suzuki Vitara Brezza as well as the Ford EcoSport. And while it has been getting its fair share of buyers thanks to its competitive pricing, its distinctive styling as well as the number of features that it offers, there is a new addition to the Nexon that will set it apart in a big way from its rivals. The Tata Nexon now gets an automated manual transmission. Abhay has driven it and here's his first impression.
28,000 units in just 6 months is certainly a big sales number for the Tata Nexon. The SUV marked Tata Motors' entry into the hotly contested sub-4 meter SUV segment, and I think that number speaks a lot about its popularity. And to build on the Nexon's success further, Tata Motors is now launching it with an AMT or automated manual transmission. An urban SUV with an AMT sounds interesting. The AMT version looks identical to the manual except for the new orange body color and the XZA Plus badging. So effectively you get the same stunning design that looks even more eye-catching in the bright shade of orange. You also get 209 mm of ground clearance, which means treading off tarmac is not a problem. Unlike several other manufacturers, Tata Motors will offer the AMT with the petrol and diesel versions both, but only in the fully loaded trims. So should you choose to buy the AMT version, you will get an array of features including the 6.5-inch touchscreen for the infotainment system with Android Auto connectivity inside, while outside you get projector headlamps and LED DRLs along with impressive-looking 16-inch alloy wheels. The AMT version will also get 3 driving modes just like the manual, including City, Eco and Sport, which makes the Nexon the first AMT car in the country to feature multiple driving modes. The 4-cylinder 1.5-litre diesel and 3-cylinder 1.2-litre petrol engines remain unchanged and both offer an impressive 110 PS. Both engines feel equally refined, but the diesel feels smoother than the petrol when it comes to throttle responses, especially in sport mode. The transmission allows you to change gears manually as well, and the default mode for manual is sport, while city mode is the default setting when driving in auto. Just like other AMTs, the Nexon's transmission also has a bit of a lag in automatic mode, especially when driving enthusiastically. Switching to manual mode helps in reducing the lag, but only to a certain extent. Given that automated manual transmissions are a relatively new technology, I guess there's still some time before they offer quicker gear changes. That said, Tata Motors has tried to make the gear changes smoother thanks to the addition of a feature it calls Fast Off. Essentially, every time you back off the throttle after hard acceleration, the ECU reduces the torque going to the wheels in a linear fashion to help in avoiding the jerks due to the sudden drop in acceleration. The Nexon's AMT features a creep function and hill assist as well. The creep function makes driving in city traffic convenient as you do not need to work your left leg to operate the clutch, while hill assist is a boon when taking off from standstill on inclines as you don't need to worry about the car rolling backwards. I got a chance to try the hill assist function and the transmission did impress with its performance. The car didn't really roll backwards even on an incline, and there was enough torque on offer to let me accelerate forward with ease. Creep function is a boon too, but makes for jittery progress as I found out, and I would have liked the forward motion to be smoother. On the whole, I cannot deny the fact though that the Nexon AMT will make life behind the wheel easier, particularly for inexperienced drivers, given the convenience and comfort it brings to the table. Considering how traffic conditions in our cities are getting worse by the day, AMTs are indeed a viable solution. And given its positioning as an urban SUV, the Nexon AMT does feel more convenient to drive in traffic than its manual version. That said, the AMT will command a small premium over the manual, but it also brings you the convenience of not having to use the clutch or change gears repeatedly in traffic without sacrificing fuel efficiency, and I think that makes it worth the premium.
Well, like I said at the start of this story, adding an automated manual transmission does give the Tata Nexon an edge over its rivals, but we'll have to wait a couple of months to see how that correlates in terms of numbers. Time then for us to wrap up this week's edition of Overdrive, but stay in touch with the team through Facebook as well as Twitter, and you can follow our latest videos on our YouTube channel. We'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye and many thanks for watching.